Next year is looking absolutely incredible for Xbox, and if what we heard last night actually does ring true, 2026 is meant to be one of the biggest years yet for Xbox. This has me incredibly excited, and what I wanted to do today is just highlight 16 of the best action games coming to Xbox in the next year. Of course, some of these games will also be coming to Xbox Game Pass, so do keep an eye out for that icon as per usual, but my word, it was certainly hard narrowing down the games for this video today. Well, enough of me just rattling on, and let's just dive into the great action games coming our way in 2026. First up, we have Spine, and this one is looking mighty impressive with every single gameplay trailer and preview that I've seen so far, and honestly, it's getting me pretty hyped for this new gung fu experience. If you've ever wanted to feel like you're in a John Wick movie, this is the game for you. Spine looks to take close quarters gun combat to the whole next level though, combining the fluidity of games like Uncharted, but with the intensity of a third-person shooter. In this case, you'll be dodging bullets, disarming enemies, and pulling off some incredible stunts, and that's all whilst engaging in fast-paced firefights. The game's combat system in this instance is all about merging gunplay with melee combat in a very seamless way. The developers have cited movies like The Matrix as inspiration, and with that, the game also features camera work and combat choreography by action movie specialists themselves. Honestly, this could be a massive hit into 2026, and you'll have to let me know if you want to see more coverage on this one in the comments below. I know that one of the largest gaming releases of 2026 just has to be Crimson Desert, and this one really is building up a ton of momentum amongst many within the Xbox community. Not only is it so bloody grand in terms of its scale, thanks to it being an offshoot of their MMO, but it also has some insane combat, which is meant to have a very high skill ceiling. It is worth mentioning that previews of Crimson Desert have been a bit all over the place this year, but plenty of different publications out there have walked away very impressed, not only by the sheer scope of the thing, but others have also been left bemused by its complex gameplay and also combat systems. I have been doing a ton of research on this one myself, as I will be publishing a more in-depth video rather soon, but the fact you can also use mechs alongside dragons in a medieval-inspired world is pretty mind-blowing, to be honest. I cannot wait for March to roll around, and I do reckon this will be a potential Game of the Year candidate for 2026. 007 First Light got revealed a couple months back now, and since then we've had a much deeper look at this new James Bond game, and it's getting pretty exciting. As you'd expect from IO Interactive, there's a strong Hitman DNA running through what we've seen so far, but this is very different to the usual Agent 47 we know and love. The game actually leans far more into action-adventure territory, mixing stealth with high-energy set pieces and cinematic moments. Visually, you can see that this is a real step above the studio's previous work, and it really reminds me massively of games like Uncharted, which to be honest is some massive praise. I just hope they nail the action of what we come to expect from James Bond, and that does mean some very over-the-top set pieces. If you are interested, the game is set to launch on Xbox in March of 2026, but the real question is, are you ready to take on the role of the mighty James Bond? Whilst I was certainly not the biggest fan of this announcement, we do have a newish Halo game coming to us in 2026. I say newish because this is a full remake of Combat Evolved, but now in UE5, and to be honest, visually it does look pretty decent. It is now called Halo Campaign Evolved, and that's simply because the game no longer includes multiplayer, which certainly sucks, but Halo Studios are stating there will be 3 brand new missions for us to tackle that were never included in the original release. I'm just really mixed on this release, and although I do think it looks great, I feel it's more targeted at PlayStation fans now that the franchise is going multi-platform. I do have high hopes, it does look pretty great, and you can't really mess up a classic, and I will still try to get my Halo fix within the next year. I do want to know though, are you happy with this brand new remake, or would you prefer them to do something else? You'll have to let me know down below. Whilst commenting down below as well, do also subscribe, as we're getting so close now to 80,000 subscribers, and I would just love for you to join our incredible Xbox community. I will be bringing a ton of new content this December and into 2026, and I'm even streaming lots starting as of next week until Christmas Day, and I'll even be including a few giveaways. Thanks again for your continued support. I hope to see you of course in those live streams and in future videos, and let's dive back right into these incredible games. One of the most intriguing gaming launches in the recent years was Atomic Heart, and it was a title that did draw a lot of massive attention long before anyone got it within their hands. The final product really didn't quite live up to the hype though, and especially the towering expectations, but it still kind of delivered a stylish and more memorable action-adventure experience packed with tons of potential. Now, we finally had confirmation that Mundfish is also gearing up for a bigger and bolder follow-up with Atomic Heart 2. The sequel will be an action-focused first-person shooter, but this time it's actually pushing deeper into its RPG systems and broadening that open world design. We're heading back into that alternate history setting though, with retro-futuristic dystopias teetering on the edge after the first game's events, only now the narrative is set to play out on a global stage. There's no set release date as of yet, though it's rumoured and speculated to be arriving in late 2026. A very huge announcement which took place back at the Xbox showcase in June finally did occur, and it got many fans, including myself, quite excited. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade is coming to our Xbox consoles after a lengthy wait, and it will be with us with a now confirmed release date of the 22nd of January 2026. You all probably already know what Final Fantasy VII entails, and this is one RPG that many of us have wanted to see for quite some while. I was actually due to go and get my hands on with this game in London, as I was invited by Square Enix. However, due to my illness and family stuff, I wasn't actually able to attend, which really sucked. From what I have heard though from many who did go there, it does run incredibly well on the Xbox Series X, but we have still yet to see how it plays on the Series S consoles. Still, I can't wait to finally play this one after wrapping up my time with Final Fantasy XVI pretty lately, so expect me to do some more coverage in early January. The developer that's behind Road 96 is doing something very different with its brand new game, called Tides of Tomorrow. This one has now been confirmed for Xbox, but this curious multiplayer experience comes to us on the 24th of February as of next year. To give you more of an idea about this one, Tides of Tomorrow is an action-adventure game in which every player's run through the story will have an impact on everyone else's. Usually games with these sort of asynchronous multiplayer aspects are focusing on systems and gameplay interactions, but this one instead is actually letting players truly influence each other's stories through their own decisions. It is set in a colourful sci-fi water world, and then you're thrust into the adventure which had you exploring the world by boat and then interacting with different NPCs throughout the game. It really is a fascinating idea, and I just can't wait to learn if Digits Art can pull off what sounds like a very ambitious plan. Replaced is the cyberpunk action platformer, and it's finally got a release date and is set to arrive onto our Xbox consoles on the 12th of March, and to be honest, this is one of my most anticipated Game Pass releases of the entirety of next year. This one though is set in the alternate 1980s, and it's got all the trappings of the cyberpunk genre, as you can see with the trailer on screen now, and it's also a dystopian neon-lit setting full of corrupt control corporations and flying cars. But what's really intriguing is it's all going to be presented in that unique 2.5D style that blends pixel art with environments full of depth. Upon seeing more and more footage from each of their trailers, the combat looks really slick as well, and kind of gives me these sort of massive Batman Arkham vibes, but in a 2.5D format. It looks great, and I finally can't wait to get my hands on this one, and it looks like another indie masterpiece for 2026. Combining classic 1930s rubber hose animation alongside snappy retro gunplay and modern detective mechanics, Mouse PI for Hire isn't just a nostalgic throwback as you may come to expect, but instead is a more bold evolution. Over this year, we've had a ton of deep looks now on what makes this noir-inspired shooter just so special. It is now set to release on the 19th of March next year, and as is following war veteran turned private investigator Jack Pepper, who juggles 3 distinct cases across the gritty city of Mouseburg. With every single mystery, it looks like it can be tackled in every single order, blending different combat, exploration, and even clue hunting. From photographing evidence to connecting leads on a classic corkboard, every discovery unlocks some brand new paths through 10 handcrafted biomes. It doesn't look like another style of shooters, instead it's a living, breathing mystery that's begging to be solved, and it looks bloody fantastic. March looks absolutely stacked at the moment for releases, and this is just yet another great looking gem for us to get our hands on. In one of the wildest surprises of this entire year, Game Freak, the same studio behind the Pokemon series, announced Beast of Reincarnation, and honestly, compared to the rough visuals that we've seen with recent Pokemon releases, this thing looks utterly stunning. I dug deeper after the first reel really did hook me, and it turns out this is a full-on action RPG but set within a post-apocalyptic Japan. The world in this case has been swallowed by corruption and is crawling with these awesome yet downright unsettling creatures. You will play as a character named Emma, who is a cursed outcast, accompanied by her faithful dog named Ku, and together you'll be pushing through a hostile, constantly shifting landscape that does require tight execution and real skill in combat. It gives off a bit of a sort of Monster Hunter or Wild's Heart energy to it, but the moment-to-moment action leans more towards a fast, stylish ARPG like we saw with Black Myth Wukong. Either way, it is landing pretty soon, and the best part is it will be available on Game Pass as a day 1 release. Another massive surprise to also pop up seemingly out of nowhere for this year came from publisher NetEase. Just a couple of months ago, they actually revealed an insanely ambitious looking AAA project for PC and consoles, and it's called Blood Message. It's pitched as a sort of blend of Assassin's Creed Shadows and Tomb Raider reboots, aiming to deliver us a story-heavy linear action-adventure experience. The team that's actually developing this one is the same team behind Naraka Blade Point, and honestly, their work is actually looking seriously impressive from what I've seen so far. Based on the sort of debut showcase, it offered a strong mix of combat snippets and cinematic moments, and it's all packed into about a 5-minute trailer. It's still pretty tough to pin down exactly where the gameplay starts and ends, but everything shown looks very believable and genuinely really exciting. I'm really hoping we do get more concrete info pretty soon, because these details at the moment are pretty limited, but I'll keep you updated as soon as possible. Mudang 2 Hearts was a really standout moment during this year's Xbox showcase, especially for me as someone who really loves Ghost Recon and has instantly gave off those vibes with a dash of Splinter Cell just mixed into that. It's shaping up to be a blend of tactical stealth gameplay with a strong narrative focus, and it's all wrapped up in a vision of the future heavily inspired by Korean culture. During the showing though, we got a very great look at player freedom on offer, from sneaking in quietly, diving into melee encounters, or just going in full guns blazing, and you can shift between those approaches whenever you want. That commitment to realism really came through in the trailer, and visually the whole thing just looked absolutely stunning. There was even a tease at the end of some sort of zombie-like threat, and whilst I'm not totally sold on that aspect, I'm really excited to learn more as we get closer to release in late 2026. Valor Mortis immediately grabbed attention as it was one of the most visually striking Souls-like titles on the way next year, and it's coming from the developers of Ghost Runner, so you already know the action is going to hit hard in this one. With that kind of track record, this feels poised to deliver intense skill-based combat, all wrapped up in a unique Napoleonic era setting you almost never see in gaming today. In this one though, as in a bit of backstory, you will step into the role of William, a soldier of the Grand Army resurrected from the battlefield, only to find Europe drowning in plague, decay, and twisted corruption. With that though, you can expect some vicious encounters, haunting plague-infested locales, and then loads of supernatural threats that give the genre a very fresh spin. It is currently targeting a 2026 release, and after getting my hands on time with the alpha, I can say it's shaping up incredibly well. I'm still crossing my fingers that the full game nails that Souls-like rhythm, though my one complaint at the moment is that the first-person perspective can get a little frustrating, especially when you're trying to dodge incoming attacks like you come to expect in this Souls-like experience. High on Life 2 got announced earlier this year, and after a very short delay, it's now finally coming out in early 2026, just in time for Valentine's Day. I was a massive fan of the previous game and even got the full 1000 gamer score, so I have some very massive high hopes when it comes to this one, especially as the deep dives from IGN look pretty incredible. Even the skateboarding element does seem pretty awesome, and I do think it could be another banger to start this year. Of course, like the previous games though, we will be joined by our beloved ragtag team of alien misfits as we shoot, stab, and skate our way through alien worlds across the galaxy. Instead of aliens using humans for drugs like the previous entry though, the story will now go in a different wacky direction, and instead aliens are now using humans in suits for their entertainment. Visually, it also looked like a step up from the original, which I'm really happy to see, and February is getting ever so close to finally get our hands on it. Now, I won't lie to you all, I missed the pinnacle of Gears of War back on the Xbox 360, but ever since trying them all out earlier last year, the announcement of Gears of War E-Day has me incredibly hyped, as these games are really just fantastic. Of course, you know this one is the next mainline game in the Gears of War universe, but it's now set during the pivotal Emergence Day. It is great being put back in the shoes of Marcus Phoenix and Dom Santiago, especially as I really wasn't the biggest fan of Kate Diaz. This one is actually meant to be delving deeper into the horror themes along with more of the mature tones, and I think that's why I'm really excited for this one. Currently, we don't have any fixed release date for Gears of War E-Day or any gameplay shown as of yet. However, I do reckon we'll see a ton more about this one during the Game Awards or even during an Xbox Developer Direct this January. Of course, during the Xbox Showcase, Phil Spencer did mention we're getting Gears, Fable, Forza, and even Halo next year, so it's pretty much confirmed at this point it will be arriving in 2026. I would be curious though, are you actually excited for Gears of War? I would be keen to hear how you feel about it in the comments below. Make sure to also smash that like button as well if you enjoyed this video and if you saw a game that you're excited for, and again please do subscribe for more Xbox content on a daily basis. Whilst here though, and if you want to check out some more awesome Xbox content here on the channel, I recently covered all of the Xbox news that occurred over the past week, and I tell you what, there's quite a few updates and announcements here that will really get you excited.